First of all, I'd just like to start by congratulating all of tonight's honorees, Ken Baum, Mike Brown, Clint Burns, and Bob McDonnell. It's a privilege, and listening to Greg also talk about all the terrific entrepreneurs that have come out of this town, it's a privilege for a hired gun like me to be up in front of you in this really august group. I also want to thank Peter and Dinesh and Irv and Steve and Dan for going out in public and saying these nice things about me. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Junior Achievement. It's just a fantastic organization. Sprint has supported it for 20 years. Ken was very eloquent in terms of describing all the great things that Junior Achievement does. But it's really going to be important if the next generation of Americans is going to succeed in the global economy. Junior Achievement is really going to produce tomorrow's leaders, and great business leaders are going to be more important than ever. Not to wax too much on the political process, but I'm pretty concerned about it, and that you have both parties moving further and further away from the center, further and further away from compromise, and it's really going to be up to values-driven business leaders to move this country forward increasingly. Anwar Sadat once said that without a vocation, man's existence would be meaningless. And there are a lot of great vocations to choose from: teaching, parenting, the clergy, public service, political office. As a student at Notre Dame, and I have a number of Notre Dame grads at the table, and John, thank you for coming down, and I actually have one there, Tom Brett, who I haven't seen since we were students at Notre Dame. But when you're there, you're asked, what are you going to do with this great education that you're getting at Notre Dame? What is your purpose? What's your calling? What's your vocation? You want to put it to good use. And some, like Tom, threw it away and become a lawyer. But I chose business leadership. And business leaders, as was mentioned, I think Steve mentioned it on the video, they affect many lives. They affect the lives as business leaders of our employees, our customers, our shareholders, our suppliers, and those who live in the communities that we serve. Even more than the performance improvements that Dinesh talked about that we've been making, kind of quarter after quarter, I'm really much more proud of the things that the people at Sprint do for all the communities we serve, and particularly Kansas City. I saw Paul Henson's picture up here, and I know Betty's here. I wish I would have met Paul, because there's just a tremendous culture of giving at Sprint that has been passed down through the generations of leadership. I saw Ron LeMay here as well. It's just a terrific company to be a part of. A little bragging about Sprint very recently. In the brand new November-December issue of CEO Magazine, which is just hitting the newsstands this week, they selected the 40 best companies for leaders among 1,300 companies evaluated, and Sprint was chosen. Recently, we were named the 6th greenest company in America by Newsweek. Forbes recently named Sprint as one of the 3 companies positioned well to succeed in the emerging reputation economy, where a company's reputation becomes as important as the products and services that it provides. And Governance Metrics International, after surveying 4,100 companies, listed the 20 most responsible companies in America, and Sprint was on that list. So it's a company that I'm very, very proud to be a part of. My middle name is a family name. It's Ryan, which is an Irish name, and the Ryan family motto was, "I would rather die than be dishonored," and it's a very fitting motto. And I'd like to thank a few people that have been an inspiration to me. I'd like to start with my young junior achievers. My oldest son, Ryan, a.k.a. Dan Ryan VII, attended his very first basketball camp at UMKC. When we moved here from Seattle, he was 10 years old. Actually, he reminds me a lot of Cooper. Cooper's, I think, well, you're 10? Yeah, reminds me a lot of Cooper. Kind of looks like him with the blonde hair. But in camp, the coach asked all the boys to go around, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they went all around, and every boy named, they wanted to be a sports star in a particular sport. And they got to the end, the last kid, and I was told the story. And that last kid was Ryan, and he goes, I want to be the CEO of General Motors. To shocked looks all around. But Ryan is really very interested in more environmental, more sustainable transportation and automobiles, so that could very well be your calling, Ryan. Evan is my second junior achiever, and I think he's going to be perhaps a world-class fundraiser someday. If you ask him what he wants for Christmas, a decent chance the answer you'll get is money. As a young boy, no matter what the subject in math, be it addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimals, fractions, if you converted it to pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, he understood it right away. When he was 4, I gave him a bill, a $1 million bill, and later broke it to him that it was counterfeit. And he was not amused in the slightest. And he still reminds me of that every once in a while as absolutely the cruelest thing that I ever did to him. This being Veterans Day, and I'm really happy that the veterans have been called out today, but I'd also like to thank my father, who was a career military man, and this year being the 60th anniversary of the Korean War. My father fought in Korea and in Vietnam, and I thank him for his service to this country, and particularly for pushing me all the time, because I needed it. So my boys know where I get my fathering skills from. Finally, I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Diane, for her support. When I was at Embark, and Embark was a great gig, very comfortable gig, a terrific board of directors with people like Peter and Dinesh and guys like Dan, just a terrific organization. Actually had a lot of the Sprint culture because it had been spun off from Sprint. But when the calls started coming in from Irv and others about the Sprint job, Diane played a big role in kind of convincing me to take the Sprint job. I was concerned I'd have less time with the family. That has turned out to be the case, and hopefully that wasn't the objective. But she reminded me that I had a much larger family, the family of Kansas City, and she said that Kansas City really needed a strong Sprint, and it was my calling to go help. So Kansas City is our home, and thank you, Junior Achievement, for this great honor, and thank you, everyone.